How did one sentence about moving in with my ex end with divorce papers handed to me in a bright office lobby? Why did my husband stay calm in public while my boxes sat in the back of my sister's SUV, like I was the guest who overstayed? What was I supposed to do when the papers said the rules start today? My name is Eustacia Rourke-Hale, but almost nobody calls me that. People call me Stacy because it sounds easy, and I like easy things. I worked at a small clinic where I scheduled appointments and answered phones. It was not a big job, but it was steady, and it made me feel needed. I liked the part where people depended on me to keep the day moving. At home, my husband Graham acted like steady was the best thing in the world. He woke up early, made coffee, packed the kids' bags, and checked the weather like it mattered. He always spoke in a calm tone, like calm was a rule. Some mornings, that calm felt like a wall. I told myself it was cold, not safe. I still think he hid behind calm to avoid real life. That Monday started like many others. The kitchen light was too bright. Milo sat at the table with cereal and stared at the spoon like it was a big problem. Avery pushed a toy car across the floor and made small engine sounds. Graham stood at the counter and poured coffee into 2 mugs. He set one close to him and one closer to me, but there was space between them. I noticed it and pretended I did not. Graham asked if I could pick up Milo after school because he had a late meeting. I said yes, but I said it like I was doing him a favor. He asked if we could talk later about the weekend because I seemed distracted. I said I was tired and that work was heavy. He nodded and accepted it, which annoyed me more than if he argued. When he reached for his phone, a reminder popped up. I saw it for less than a second. It said, "Downtown 10:40 a.m." He turned the screen down fast. It was not a big move, but it was fast, and I felt it in my stomach. I asked what that was. He asked why it mattered. I said it mattered because I lived here too. He said it was personal and he would handle it. The word personal sounded like a challenge. I told myself he was hiding something. It made me feel better to think that. It made my own choices feel smaller. I went upstairs to get dressed for work. In the mirror, I looked fine. I told myself I was still young, still wanted, still more than a wife who packed lunches and folded socks. I could admit that to myself without feeling shame. I said I deserved to feel seen. In the hallway, Milo asked if Dad was coming to his school event on Friday. I said Dad would try. Milo asked why Dad had been quiet lately. I said Dad was stressed and that adults got stressed. I heard my own voice and I liked how calm I sounded. It made me feel like I was the reasonable one. On the drive to the clinic, I checked my phone at the red light. I had a message preview from Travis Keene. I had not saved him under his real name. I saved him with a small symbol, like it was not a person. His message said he had seen a listing, and it made him think of me. He added that some places were built for a fresh start. I read it twice. Travis was my ex. People love that word because it sounds like the past is dead. But the past is not dead if someone keeps touching it. He knew how to touch it. He talked about who I used to be, like that girl was trapped and needed rescue. When he wrote to me, I felt like I could breathe. At the clinic, the front desk was loud. Phones rang. The printer hummed. Patients asked the same questions in the same tired voices. I greeted people with my work smile. My friend Elena slid into the chair beside me and asked why I looked so pleased. I said I had a good weekend, even though I did not. I said I was just feeling lighter. Elena asked if Graham finally stopped being difficult. I shrugged like it was nothing. Then I leaned in and said Graham had been off and cold for months. I did not say what I did wrong. I said I was trying so hard, and he kept acting like a parent, not a partner. Elena frowned like she was taking notes. She said Graham sounded controlling. I did not correct her. I let it grow. When people think your husband is the problem, they stop asking why you are unhappy. Later, in the break room, a few co-workers talked about relationships like it was a sport. Someone joked that men got lazy after marriage. I laughed too hard. Then I said Graham was so serious all the time, and that I felt alone, even when he was in the room. I watched their faces. I watched them accept it. My phone buzzed again. Travis wrote that he missed talking to me, and that he still knew how my mind worked. He asked if I wanted to take a walk after work, just to clear my head. I told myself it was not wrong because it was a walk. I told myself I needed a friend. I told myself Graham's mood made it necessary. At lunch, Graham texted me and asked if I could come home on time because he wanted to eat together. I stared at the message and felt anger rise, sharp and clean. It felt like a demand. I wrote back that I would try, but I had a lot to do. He replied with a simple, okay. No fight, no begging, the calm again. In the afternoon, we had a small rush at the front desk. A patient complained about waiting. The manager walked by and asked everyone to keep smiles on. I was good at that. I was good at being nice while feeling something else. I felt proud of that skill. I told myself it meant I was strong. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. When my shift ended, I did not go straight home. I sat in my car for a minute and watched the clinic doors. I checked my hair in the mirror. I told myself I was not doing anything bad. I was just choosing myself. On the drive, I saw a missed call from an unknown number. There was no voicemail. I told myself it was spam, but my mind still held it. Unknown things can feel like warnings or like chances. At home, the kitchen was quieter than the morning. The kids were in the living room. Graham stood near the counter with his laptop open. He looked up when I came in and asked how my day was. I said it was fine and asked how his meeting went. He said it was handled. He did not say more. I noticed a folder on the table with a neat label that said household. I asked what that was. He said it was just organizing. I laughed and said he was turning into an accountant. He did not laugh back. Later, when he went to put the kids to bed, I heard a small click from the hallway, like a drawer locking. I paused, but then I told myself I was being dramatic. I told myself he was the one with secrets. That story felt comfortable. When my phone lit up again, Travis's preview filled the screen. He wrote that he had been thinking about how easy things used to feel with us, and how some people only understand you once you're gone. I held the phone in my palm and felt warm, like I had already won something. I put the phone face down when Graham walked back into the room, but I could not stop the smile that was already on my mouth. The next day, I woke up before the alarm, like my body wanted to run ahead of my life. Graham was already up. I heard the coffee machine and the soft sound of a drawer closing. When I came into the kitchen, he had 2 mugs again, set apart, like they belonged to 2 different houses. He asked if I slept well. I said yes. He asked if I could talk later. I said we had talked enough lately. He looked at me for a second, then looked at the sink like the sink had answers. Milo came in with his backpack half open, and Avery followed him, dragging a blanket. Graham asked Milo if he had his homework folder. Milo said he did. Graham asked Avery if she wanted toast. She said yes. Graham did all the small things right. That is why it was hard to call him a villain in my head, but I still did it. I told myself his good dad routine was a way to win. I told myself he wanted to look perfect, so I would look bad. On the way out, Graham's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and slid it into his pocket without reading it. I said it must be nice to have secrets. He asked what I meant. I said he knew. He asked if I wanted to see his phone. I said I did not want to be his mother. He nodded like I had proved a point. He did not raise his voice. That calm made me feel like I was pushing against a pillow and still losing. At the clinic, I told myself I would focus on work. I did for about an hour. Then Elena walked in with a coffee, and that look she had when she smelled drama. She asked if things were still weird at home. I said yes. She asked if Graham was still acting tight. I said he was worse. I said he watched the clock like he owned my time. I said he wanted talks all the time, like I was a broken machine. Elena asked if I ever thought about leaving. I said I had thought about everything. I said sometimes you outgrow people and it is not your fault. I watched her eyes widen, and I felt strong. When she reacted like I was brave, it cleaned the guilt off my hands. During lunch, I stepped outside and called Travis. I told myself it was better than texting, because calls are honest. He asked how I was. I said I felt trapped. He asked if Graham treated me right. I said Graham acted like I was a job. Travis said he hated hearing that. He said I deserved to feel chosen. I liked the way he said deserved, like it was a fact, not a wish. Travis asked if I wanted to walk by the river after work. I said I did not know. He said a walk was not a crime. He said he missed my thoughts and my laugh. I said I had not laughed in a long time. That was not fully true, but it felt true in the moment, and I trusted the feeling more than reality. Graham texted me near the end of my shift. He asked where I would be after work because he needed to plan dinner for the kids. I stared at the message and felt annoyed that he used the kids as a reason. I wrote that I might run errands. He replied that he understood and asked if I could still do pickup. I said yes. Then I muted the thread, like that solved something. After work, I drove to the riverside promenade. The sky was grey and low, and the air smelled like cold water. Travis was already there, leaning on the railing like he belonged in a picture. He asked if I was okay. I said I was fine. He said I did not look fine. I said marriage can make you disappear. He said he never forgot me. I let that line settle in my chest like a warm stone. We walked for a long time. He asked what Graham did that made me unhappy. I listed small things like they were big crimes. I said Graham was not romantic. I said he treated my feelings like problems to solve. I said he cared more about responsibility than passion. Travis said Graham sounded like a roommate. I did not correct him. I wanted Travis to see me as a woman with a sad story, not as a wife making selfish choices. Travis asked if I ever thought about the life we could have had. I said yes, and I said it quickly. He said he still had space in his life. He said he had been looking at places lately, and one of them made him think of me. I laughed and said he was dramatic. He said he was serious. He said he could picture me there, calm and free. I felt my face get hot. I told myself it was hope, not danger. At one point, Travis reached for my hand. He did not yank it. He waited like he was polite. I could have pulled away. I did not. I told myself it was just a hand. I told myself my husband had made me lonely, so this was his fault. Travis asked if that was okay. I said yes. I hated how easy it was to say yes. When I checked the time, my stomach dropped. I was late for pickup. I pulled my hand away and said I had to go. Travis asked if we could do this again soon. I said maybe. He said he would be patient. I liked that word too, because it made him seem safe. I rushed to the school line. Milo climbed into the car and asked why I was late. I said traffic was bad. Milo said Dad was never late. I told Milo that Dad had a different kind of job. Milo looked out the window and went quiet. Avery started singing to herself in the back seat, like she could fill the space. When we got home, Graham was at the table with his laptop open. A spreadsheet was on the screen, but I could not see the title. He closed it when I walked in, smooth and fast. He asked how pickup went. I said fine. He asked why my phone went to voicemail earlier. I said I was driving. He said he called twice. I said that was a lot. He asked where I had been after work. I said errands. He asked what errands. I said normal ones. He asked which store. I said I did not remember. He stared at me, not angry, just focused. He asked if I wanted to tell him something. I said there was nothing to tell. Then I added that he needed to stop interrogating me. I said his distrust was ruining our marriage. I said trust should be given, not demanded. I used the word our, like I still owned the story. Graham nodded and said he heard me. He asked if we could talk after the kids slept. I said I was tired. He said okay again. He got up, washed the dishes, and wiped the counter like he was cleaning a crime scene. That night, when I walked past the hallway, I heard a soft beep from his phone and saw a tiny flash of light under his office door. I did not knock. I told myself I did not care. I went to bed with my phone in my hand, waiting for Travis to write again, because his words felt like proof that I was not the bad one. Thursday came with that restless energy I liked. It was the kind of day where a night out felt like proof of something. At the clinic, Elena asked if I wanted to go to the rooftop bar after work with a few people. I said yes fast, like saying yes was a rebellion. Elena asked if Graham would allow it. I rolled my eyes and said Graham did not own me. I said I was not a child. Elena laughed and said I needed to act single for one night. I said I did not want to be single, I just wanted to be seen. I made it sound deep, but it was simple. I wanted attention without consequence. Near the end of my shift, Graham texted and asked what time I would be home. I looked at the message and felt that old anger again. I said I might go out with co-workers for one drink. He replied that he understood and asked if I could still help with the kids' bedtime when I got back. I said I would try. He sent a thumbs up. I told myself that meant he did not care. I told myself I deserved someone who cared more. I went home first to change. The house felt too quiet. Graham was on the floor with Avery, building a block tower. Milo sat nearby and drew a picture of a car. Graham looked up and asked how my day was. I said it was fine. He asked if I was still going out. I said yes. He asked if I needed a ride later. I said no, but I said it sharp, like he was trying to control me. Graham asked if we could talk for 5 minutes before I left. I said there was nothing to talk about. He asked if something was going on with me. I said he always assumed something was wrong because he could not accept a happy wife. I watched his face tighten for a second. Then it softened again, like he pressed a button inside himself. He asked if I was safe. I said I was always safe. He nodded and said okay. Then he went back to the blocks with Avery, patient and steady. That steadiness made me feel guilty for a second, so I crushed the feeling fast. I told myself I was not guilty. I told myself I was reacting to his emotional neglect. When I left, Milo asked where I was going. I said I was seeing friends from work. Milo asked if Dad could come too. I said Dad had to stay with them. Milo asked why Dad always stayed. I said Dad liked staying home. Milo frowned like he did not believe me. In the car, I checked my phone at a red light. Travis had sent a message that said he hoped I had a good night. He added that if I needed air, he could meet me later. My chest felt light. I told myself Travis cared. I told myself it was normal to talk to an ex if you were mature. I said maturity meant not being trapped by rules. The rooftop bar was loud and bright. The city looked clean from up there, like problems were small. Elena waved me over to a table where a few co-workers sat with drinks. They were already talking about relationships, money, and who was winning life. Elena asked how Graham was doing. I said he was still acting like a manager in our home. Someone asked what that meant. I said he had a meeting tone even at dinner. I said he asked too many questions. I said he made me feel like I had to report my day. People laughed in that easy way, and I felt warm. A co-worker named Jessa asked if Graham ever did romantic things. I said he used to, but then he got comfortable. I said marriage made men lazy. I watched them nod. I liked that nodding. It felt like power. Elena asked if I missed dating. I said sometimes I missed feeling chosen. I said I missed being a priority. I said I was tired of being last behind work, schedules, and responsibility. I said the word responsibility like it was a bad word. Someone asked if I ever told Graham these things. I said I tried, but he turned everything into a task list. I said he would rather fix a sink than fix a heart. It was a clever line. I saw people react. and I stored that reaction away for later. Halfway through the night, Elena took a photo of the table and posted it. She tagged me and wrote something about freeing ourselves. I told myself it was harmless. I did not think about how my name would sit under that post like a sign. After another drink, the talk turned mean. Jessa asked what kind of guy I would date if I was not married. I should have shut it down. Instead, I leaned into it. I said I would date someone who understood me without making me explain everything. Elena asked if I meant someone like Travis. I did not answer directly, but I smiled. That smile did the work. Elena said Travis sounded like a real man. I laughed and said Travis had flaws too. Then I added that at least Travis knew how to make me feel wanted. The table got quiet for a second, then someone whistled like it was a joke. I told myself it was still harmless because I did not say anything explicit. I told myself I was just talking. Later, I saw my phone buzz with Graham's name. I ignored it. Elena noticed and asked if he was checking on me. I said yes, and I said he was always checking. Elena frowned like she was worried for me. I let her be worried. I liked that worry because it made Graham look bad without me having to prove anything. Near closing time, I finally texted Graham and said I would take the train home. He replied fast and asked which station. I said I did not know yet. He asked if I could share my location. I said my battery was low. That was not true, but it sounded reasonable. On the train, I felt the night wear off. The air smelled like coats and metal. I sat by the window and watched my reflection shake with the motion. I checked Elena's post. People were already commenting with laughing faces and little jokes about husbands being boring. Someone wrote that I deserved better. I stared at that line and felt proud, like I had earned it. When I got off the train, Graham's car was near the curb. He had come anyway. He did not honk. He just waited. When I got in, he asked if I was okay. I said yes. He asked if I had fun. I said yes again, but my tone was sharp, like fun was a weapon. He asked why I did not answer earlier. I said I was with people. He asked if someone drove me home. I said no, and I added that he was acting controlling. He said he was not controlling, he was worried. I said worry was not an excuse to monitor me. He asked if Travis was there. My heart jumped, but I kept my face steady. I asked why he would say that. He said I had been distant and I kept hiding my phone. I said he was imagining things. I said he needed to stop accusing me because it was disrespectful. I said if he kept doing it, he would push me away for real. Graham kept his eyes on the road. He asked if I wanted to be married. I said that question was unfair. I said marriage was not a prison. He nodded and said he understood. At a red light, his phone made a soft beep from the cup holder. The screen lit up for a second. I saw a small message that said, "File uploaded successfully." He tapped it off and did not look at me. I wanted to ask what file, but I did not. I told myself I did not care. I told myself he was the one hiding things now. When we got home, he asked if we could talk in the morning. I said no, and I said I was tired. He said okay. He walked to the kitchen, rinsed his travel mug, and set it on the counter far from mine. I watched him do it, calm and careful, like he was already practicing distance. Saturday was supposed to be a reset day. That was what I told myself. If we sat with family and acted normal, then it meant nothing was really broken. I woke up and found Graham already dressed, moving through the house like he had a plan. He asked if I still wanted to do lunch with both families. I said yes, and added that it would be good for everyone to see we were fine. He looked at me for a long moment and said, okay. In the kitchen, the mugs were separated again. I made a point of picking mine up and clinking it against his like it was a joke. He did not laugh. He asked if I wanted eggs. I said I was not hungry. He asked if I wanted him to drive. I said I could drive myself, like he was trying to trap me in his car. Milo came in rubbing his eyes. He asked where we were going. I said we were seeing Grandma and Grandpa and everyone would be happy. Milo asked if Dad was happy. I said Dad was always serious, and Milo should not worry about grown-up moods. Avery ran in and said she wanted fries. Graham told her she could maybe have some. I noticed how he said maybe, like he was careful with every word now. On the way to the restaurant, Graham sat quiet in the passenger seat. He looked out the window. I asked if he planned to act cold in front of everyone. He asked what I meant. I said he had been punishing me with silence. He said he was not punishing me, he was thinking. I told him thinking was just another way to avoid talking. He did not argue. That made me feel like I had to push harder, because I needed a reaction. The restaurant had a long table in the back. It was one of those family places with bright lights and big menus. My mother Pamela was already there, waving like a host. My father Dean stood beside her with his hands in his pockets. Taryn sat on the far side with her phone in her hand, already ready to post pictures. Graham's parents arrived a few minutes later. Judith greeted me with a tight smile. Robert nodded at me and went quiet. I told myself they were judging me, so I decided I would control the story before they could. People started ordering. Milo asked for chicken, and Avery asked for fries. Graham asked Milo about school, and Milo answered in small words. I watched Graham lean in, calm and focused, like he wanted to be seen as the good parent. I hated that thought, even though it was not fair. Pamela asked how married life was going. She asked it in a loud voice like she wanted a show. I laughed and said marriage was fine, but Graham had been stressed. I said he acted like a supervisor at home. Pamela rolled her eyes and said men did that. Elena had laughed at that line before, so I used it again like it was truth. Judith asked what kind of stress. I said Graham liked control. I said he asked too many questions and wanted reports about my day. I said it made me feel like I had to earn the right to breathe. I watched Judith's face change, but she stayed polite. Robert sipped his drink and said nothing. Dean asked if we had tried counselling. I said Graham would not go because he thought he was always right. That was not accurate, but it sounded convincing. Graham looked at me and asked what I was talking about. I said I had brought it up before. He said he remembered me mentioning it once in anger, and then refusing to discuss it again. I told him he was twisting it. I said he always twisted things to make me look unstable. Taryn leaned forward and asked Graham why he had been so cold lately. Graham asked what cold meant. Taryn said it meant he did not post pictures of me, he did not compliment me, and he acted like I was a burden. Graham said he worked and took care of the kids and tried to keep peace. Pamela said peace was not love. People laughed. I laughed too because it kept the mood on my side. Then I did what I wanted to do all week. I turned the table into my audience. I said I felt lonely even when I was sitting next to Graham. I said I missed feeling chosen. I said some men forgot they had a wife and only remembered they had a schedule. I said it like I was giving a speech. I watched faces nod. I watched sympathy bloom. That sympathy felt like oxygen. Graham asked if I was saying I wanted to leave. I said he was making it dramatic. I said I wanted him to change. I said I wanted him to stop treating feelings like chores. Judith asked what change meant. I said it meant romance, attention, and trust. I said trust meant not asking questions. Judith said trust also meant honesty. I told her I was honest. I said I told Graham my feelings every day. Graham said feelings were not the only truth. He said actions mattered too. Pamela snapped that Graham was accusing me of something. I said he always accused me. I said he had become paranoid. I said he needed to stop acting like a victim. Milo stared at his plate. Avery dropped a fry and started to whine. Graham picked it up and wiped her hands, gentle and slow. Judith watched him and her eyes softened. That made me angry again, because I felt the room shift. Dean asked me quietly if there was someone else. I laughed like it was ridiculous. I said he watched too many movies. I said everyone was always blaming the woman. I said I was just tired of being ignored. Dean looked down at his drink like he did not believe me, but he did not push. After lunch, people stood outside for a moment. Taryn took pictures and said we should smile. Graham smiled with his mouth only. I leaned in close and told him he was embarrassing me. He asked how. I said he looked miserable and everyone could see it. He said he could not fake it anymore. I said he could if he loved me. On Monday, at school pickup, Milo climbed into the car and asked why Grandma looked angry at Dad. I said Grandma was protective. Milo asked if Dad did something bad. I said no, Dad just took things too seriously. Milo asked if Dad and I were going to live in the same house forever. I said of course, but my voice sounded thin even to me. When we got home, Graham's car was already in the driveway. The front of it was pointed toward the street, like he had backed in on purpose. I saw a new key on his keyring when he opened the door. I asked what that was. He said it was for something practical. I asked what. He said it was handled. I followed him to the kitchen and saw a folder on the counter with a neat label that said bank. He slid it into a drawer when he noticed me looking. I asked why he was hiding things. He asked why I was watching him like a detective. I said I had to, because he kept secrets. He said I was the one who had been lying about where I went. I told him he was imagining things again. I said his suspicion was the real problem. I said if he kept pushing, he would ruin our marriage. Graham nodded once, like he was checking a box in his mind. He asked if I wanted to talk calmly after the kids slept. I said talking was pointless, because he always turned it into blame. That night, Milo came out of his room and asked Graham if we were okay. Graham said we loved him and Avery, and that they were safe. Milo asked if Mom was mad at Dad. Graham said grown-ups had problems sometimes, but it was not Milo's job to fix them. Milo looked at me. I told Milo everything was fine. Graham went back down the hall. I heard a soft click again, like a drawer locking. I stood in the doorway and felt the first real fear slide under my confidence. It was not the fear of losing Graham's love. It was the fear of losing control of the story. I went to Taryn's apartment on Tuesday after work, even though I told Graham I was staying late. I called it a lie for peace. I told myself it was not betrayal if the goal was clarity. Taryn opened the door like she had been waiting. She asked what happened at the restaurant and why I looked shaken. I said everyone was ganging up on me. I said Graham was using his parents to make me look bad. Taryn made tea and sat across from me like a counselor. She asked if I still talked to Travis. I said not really. Then I admitted I did, but only a little. Taryn asked what a little meant. I said it was just checking in, like adults do. She said adults also do not hide phones. I told her she was being dramatic. Then I asked her if she thought I was wrong to want more from my life. Taryn said I deserved happiness, and I leaned into that word like it was a blanket. She asked if I ever pictured leaving. I said I did not want to leave. I just wanted Graham to wake up. Taryn asked how long I planned to wait. I said I did not know. She said I needed a plan, not a mood. I liked that because it sounded smart and brave. I told her about the folders I saw at home and the locked drawer sound. I said it felt like Graham was preparing something. Taryn asked if I thought he was cheating. I said maybe, because it was easier to believe he was guilty too. It made the ground feel even. Taryn said I should stop acting scared and start acting honest. She said if I had feelings for Travis, I should say it out loud and see what Graham did. She said men only change when they feel the loss. I liked that idea because it made my choices look like a test, not harm. My phone buzzed while we talked. Travis asked how my night was. I said I was overwhelmed. He asked if I wanted to come by and talk. I said not tonight. He said he understood and asked if I still thought about the idea of living together for a while, just to breathe. I stared at his message. My stomach flipped, but not from fear. It was the other feeling, the one that feels like being chosen. Taryn saw my face and asked what he said. I told her. She smiled and said life was short. She said I had been loyal for years and it had not been rewarded. I did not correct her. I did not say loyalty was not the full story anymore. I let her build the excuse for me. On the drive home, I practiced the speech in my head. I told myself I would be calm, respectful, and honest. I told myself honesty was my shield. If I said the truth first, nobody could accuse me of sneaking. I even told myself Graham might respect me more. That thought was almost funny, but I held on to it. When I got home, the house was dim and quiet. Graham had already put the kids to bed. He sat at the kitchen table with his laptop open and his phone beside it. He looked up when I walked in. He asked if everything was okay at work since I stayed late. I said it was fine. He asked if I ate. I said I grabbed something. It was a boring exchange, but my heart was loud. I walked past him to the counter and saw a sticky note near the fruit bowl. It said, "Bring forms." I pretended not to notice. I opened the fridge like I was searching for something, but I was really searching for proof that he was hiding things too. I wanted to feel justified before I spoke. Graham asked if we could talk now, since the kids were asleep. I said yes, but I said it like I was doing him a kindness. He closed the laptop. The screen went black for a second. Then I saw a page of browser tabs reflected in the dark. One of them looked like a search for storage or delivery tracking. Another looked like something about a notary near me. I might have imagined it, but the idea stuck. He asked what was going on with me. I said he had been distant for months. He said he had been trying to reach me, and I kept moving away. I said he only reached me with questions. He asked if I could answer one question without turning it around. I said he was still trying to control the conversation. He asked if there was someone else. I laughed, fast and sharp. I said he was paranoid again. He asked why I laughed. I said because it was insulting. He said it would be more insulting to keep lying. I told him he was accusing me because he felt guilty about his own secrets. He asked what secrets. I said the downtown reminder, the folders, the locked drawer. He said those were practical things. I said practical was his favorite hiding place. He asked if I wanted to be married. I said yes, but I said it like he should be grateful. He asked if I still wanted to be married to him. I paused too long. Then I blamed him for the pause. I said he created this distance. I said he left me alone in the same house. I said I was tired of begging for basic attention. Graham listened without interrupting. That made me feel like I was speaking into a room with no echo. I needed an echo. I needed him to shout so I could point and say, "There it is." Instead, he nodded slowly, like he was taking notes. He asked what I wanted, specifically. I said I wanted to feel alive again. He asked what that meant. I said it meant space. He asked space from what? I said space from the pressure, the questions, the judgment. I said I needed to breathe without feeling watched. He asked if I wanted to separate. I said not exactly. He asked what not exactly meant. My throat went tight, and for a second I almost backed down. Then I thought of Travis's message. I thought of Taryn's smile. I thought of how good it felt when people sided with me. I told myself I could turn this into my victory. I said I had been thinking about living with Travis for a while. I said it like it was a reasonable plan. I said it would help me clear my head. I said it was not about cheating. It was about healing. I said couples took breaks all the time. I said Graham should respect my honesty instead of punishing me. Graham's face changed, but not into anger. It went blank, like a screen that loses signal. He asked if I was already with Travis. I said that was not the point. He asked again, simpler. I said I did not want to answer, because it would become a fight. I told him he was proving my point by making it about blame. I told him a loving husband would focus on my pain. He asked what my plan was for the kids. I said he was avoiding feelings again and hiding behind logistics. He said the kids were not logistics. He said they were people, and they needed stability. I said I was their mother and I knew what they needed. I said kids needed a happy mom. I said it like it ended the argument. Graham looked down at his hands on the table. He rubbed his thumb across his ring once, slow. He asked if I understood what I was saying. I said I was saying the truth. I said the truth should not be punished. He asked if I expected him to accept it. I said I expected him to grow up. For a long moment, the only sound was the fridge humming. Then Graham stood up and pushed his chair in neatly, like he was done being part of my performance. He asked if I was staying somewhere tonight. I said I could go to Taryn's if he was going to act cold. He nodded once. I followed him into the hallway, waiting for the explosion that would prove I was right. But he only walked to the guest room and opened the door. He did not slam it. He did not throw anything. He looked at me and asked me to keep the kids out of adult fights. I told him he was the one starting a fight. He said he was not starting anything. He said he was ending the confusion. He said he would handle it properly. The next morning, I woke at Taryn's place with my phone in my hand, like it could save me. I had 3 missed calls from Graham, and none had a message. That made me angry. If he had something to say, he should say it. I told myself silence was his punishment game. I drove to the house to get clothes for work. The driveway looked normal, but the air felt different. Graham's car was not there. I tried my key and the lock did not turn. I tried again, harder. Nothing. My face got hot. I called Graham. He answered on the 3rd ring. I asked what he was doing. He said he was at work and he could not talk long. I asked why my key did not work. He said it was changed for safety and order. I said safety from what? He said safety from chaos. I told him he was being dramatic. He said my things were packed and safe, and I could pick them up later with someone present. I asked if he threw me out like trash. He said he did not throw anything, and I should follow the process. I drove to the clinic feeling like I was floating above my body. Eleanor saw my face and asked what happened. I said Graham locked me out and was trying to control me. Elena asked if I wanted her to come over after work. I said yes, because I wanted witnesses on my side. Near lunch, my manager Marcus asked me to step into the HR room. His voice was careful. He asked if everything at home was stable because he heard people talking, and the clinic could not be part of personal fights. I said Graham was acting unstable, and I was trying to stay calm. Marcus asked if there were legal steps happening. I said no, not really. I said Graham just liked threats. Marcus told me to keep my phone on silent at the front desk and not bring drama into patient care. After work, I drove to an office tower downtown because Marcus said a delivery company had called for me, and it was marked personal. I told myself it was some work mistake. I also told myself it might be Graham trying to scare me with a letter. I went anyway because I refused to look afraid. The lobby was bright and cold. People walked past with badges and coffee cups. A security guard looked at me like he could tell I did not belong. I stood near a plant and checked my phone. Taryn texted and asked where I was. I said downtown. She sent a row of question marks. A man in a plain jacket walked toward me with a clipboard. He asked if I was Eustacia Rourke-Hale. I said yes, and I said it like I was proud of my full name. He asked me to confirm my date of birth. I did. He held out an envelope and said he was serving legal documents. I laughed once, sharp and loud, because it felt unreal. He asked me to take the envelope. I said I did not have to take anything. He said he would note that I was served anyway. I took it because people were staring. I looked down and saw my name printed like it was a label on a box. My hands shook. The first page said, divorce. It said it in plain words. It also listed temporary orders. It was not a suggestion. It was a schedule, a boundary, and a warning, all in one. It said when the kids would be with each parent starting now. It said communication would be limited to written messages about the children. It said the home would be handled by clear rules. It said there were limits on spending from joint accounts. It said there would be a formal exchange plan for belongings. My mouth went dry. I told myself it was cruel. I told myself he was trying to shame me. But I also saw how clean and calm it was. There were no insults. There was no emotional speech. It was just structure. I called Graham right there. He answered, and his voice sounded steady. I asked how he could do this to me. He said he did not do it to me. He did it for the kids and for clarity. I said he was punishing me for being honest. He said honesty came with responsibility. I said he was heartless. He said he was handling it properly. I drove to the house with the envelope on the passenger seat like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Elena and Taryn met me in the driveway. They asked what happened. I held up the papers. Elena's face changed. Taryn stopped smiling. A neighbour stood near the sidewalk watching. By the garage, my things were stacked in neat boxes. Each box had a label in thick marker. Clothes, shoes, bathroom, work. Nothing was broken. Nothing was dumped. It looked organised, like someone packed for a move, not for revenge. The door opened and Graham stepped out. He did not come close. He did not block me. He asked if I brought someone to help carry. I said he had no right. He said the papers explained the right now. He said I could take my boxes and leave. He said if I wanted more items later, it would be scheduled. I wanted to scream that I was his wife, but the word wife felt like it was already past tense. I looked down at the pages again, at the dates and the rules, and I realized the story I told everyone was gone, replaced by ink that started today.